Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to LinkedIn Tuesdays. Thank you for joining us today. It is January 25th, 2022. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please just open up the chat box, enter your questions as soon as you think about them. For those people watching on Facebook right now, thank you for joining us. Please just enter your questions in the comment field. We will get those questions answered for you. Please note this event is being recorded and is currently live on Facebook. The recording will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, you give consent for your name and picture to appear. Please note that any comments you put in the Zoom chat window do not appear in the recording. And please feel free to network with each other. Put in your personal information, let people know who's out there, and then you can go and connect with people who are on the call today. Well, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. Back in 2008, I started a website called careerdfw.org to help those who were unemployed in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. In 2012, I started a second website, careerusa.org, to help those around the United States. I've written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search That You May Not Know. It is available on Amazon. Since 2007, I've been facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. The group's been around since the late 1990s. I took it over in 2007 when the prior leader got a job. And I'll tell you about our upcoming program we have coming up this Friday at the end of this session. And since 2017, I've been a member of the practice interview team. If you're not practicing your interviewing skills, it's something you really need to consider doing. You spend a lot of time on resumes, a lot of time on LinkedIn. How much time do you spend practicing your interview? A resume or your LinkedIn profile is not going to get you a job, and it only gets you a phone call. How you interview is what's going to get you a job. Well, we have four outstanding speakers who talk about LinkedIn, each one from a little bit different point of view. Two of them are career consultants. One's a sales and marketing guru, and the other one is a retained executive search consultant. Today, we're going to hear from Kurt VandeMotter. He's a retained search executive at Linked Executive Search. I got a text from him about a couple hours ago. He is stuck in the Denver airport. So he is probably not back in Dallas yet. So I went back and I've pulled up the recording that I've got from his prior session. So that's what we're going to play here today. So if you have any questions, we'll get all those answered for you at the very end of the session. So give me just a second and we will get him up and running here. Now, let me see here. Give me a second here. Almost got it.
Okay, well, welcome everybody. My name's Kurt VandeMotter. Thanks, Jeff, for the introduction. I'm happy to be here today and hope that I can add a little bit of value to the conversation or the questions that everybody has. I think, Jeff, a really good place to start these conversations are with a number of not issues, but things first. First and foremost, it's about you, and I want you to go away with this saying that was not because I want a pat on the back, but I want you to go back and say that was great content and I learned something. And so if you have a question, make sure you throw it out to Jeff immediately. Second thing, I think it's important if people don't know the difference between the kinds of recruiters, I think this is a good time to just talk about that real quickly. Because it really is an important piece of your search in the sense of understanding who you're communicating with. And so I share with you that there's really three kinds of recruiters. And I'm not talking about good, bad, and ugly. There's three kinds of recruiters. There's internal recruiters, and those recruiters are the internal recruiters that work for the company. So they get paid by the company to fill jobs. Big organizations generally have a number of recruiters. I think, at one point I was working with T-Mobile and they might have had 60 recruiters on staff. Internal recruiters have big loads of work. And so it's not uncommon for an internal recruiter to have anywhere from 10 to 25, 30 jobs that they're searching for in a bigger company. I share that with you because internal recruiters when they're looking at candidates, they're really there to just totally 100% find the needle in the haystack. So if you're talking to an internal recruiter and you don't have 100% of what that recruiter is looking for, generally speaking, internal recruiters are not going to spend a lot of time to try to figure out how they can build that bridge between what you've done in the past and what they're trying to get that role to do and the job that they're trying to fill for that hiring manager. So just a caution, not bad people, a lot of jobs on their plate, generally not as flexible. They're there to say no, and they're only looking for that purple squirrel. Then there's two other kinds of recruiters. So sometimes when companies can't fill those jobs for themselves, they reach outside. It could be a confidential search. They're looking for to fill a job that they haven't told the executive that they're going to be losing their job, or it could be a confidential search because it's a new job that they're trying to fill. But there's two types of recruiters. There's contingent recruiters and then there's retained recruiters. Contingent recruiters, they work on a contingency basis. So as a company, they can go out and hire 3 or 4 contingent recruiters to fill a job, and they don't have to pay that recruiter any money. The only time money exchanges hands is when the company, the recruiting company, presents a candidate and that candidate gets hired. And they generally get somewhere between 20 and 25% of that candidate's first year salary. No cost to you as a candidate, but the difference is that know that those contingent recruiters are working with a lot of candidates and they're throwing a lot of stuff they're throwing a lot of mud at the screen, hoping that they can get one of those to stick. Then the third kind of recruiter is a retained search executive, and that's what I do. You'll see those in Korn Ferry, Heidrick, and Struggles, some of the big brands, but there's a lot of smaller brands like mine, Linked Executive Search. And we get retained by a company. So companies call me and they say, we're trying to fill this job confidentially, or maybe sometimes not confidentially, and we want you to help us fill that job. They pay me a retainer up front, and then I get a percentage of the first year salary as well. But I'm exclusive, so I'm not competing against 10 other recruiters out there. So that's just a little bit of visibility. Again, none of those recruiters are better, different than anybody else. But just to know when you're talking to a recruiter, to have the ability to say, can you tell me what kind of recruiter? Are you an internal recruiter? Or are you a contingent recruiter? The thing that you have to be, one thing I offer candidates, and this doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes contingent recruiters will use candidates' resumes and background to sell their network. So they may take a candidate and they might send a note to 500 hiring managers that says, hey, this is a candidate. They'll take your name and all your contact information off of it, but this is a candidate that I represent and that I'm working with. If you'd like to talk to this candidate, let me know. And they kind of use you as a marketing tool for the company then to say, yeah, we are looking for a new vice president of sales. I don't know if Jack's the right guy, but we'll sign a contingent agreement if you want to try to find that job. If you want to try to fill that job. So they're really using you as a marketing weapon and not as a total sale. Therefore, just be cautious and make sure that you tell contingent recruiters that you do not want your background to be used in marketing efforts for their initiatives. Okay. So what LinkedIn did is they actually, the history on this is quite interesting. They developed this product called LinkedIn Recruiter. And what they do is they offer the ability for recruiters to buy a package. Let me do this first. To use a product called LinkedIn Recruiter. And what LinkedIn Recruiter does is LinkedIn Recruiter is a product that is built on top of LinkedIn. And so it's got its own set of APIs, okay? And it is, okay, so what LinkedIn did is LinkedIn developed this product a number of years ago. It's called LinkedIn Recruiter. And what they did is they built a separate set of APIs and it's set on top of LinkedIn. So you've got the LinkedIn database of millions and millions of subscribers and users of LinkedIn. And then they built this product called LinkedIn Recruiter on the top of it. And it's got a separate set of APIs that sync into LinkedIn. So I share with you that because this is when I'm using LinkedIn Recruiter and I look at your profile, Michael, Michael Warner, you're on. When I look at your profile on LinkedIn, you can't see me. Okay. I don't show up anywhere. I'm invisible. I'm not even in that category where these recruiters looked at you, but you can't see them. I'm nowhere. And the reason is because I spent a lot of money with LinkedIn every year. And if candidates could see me when I looked at them, then they didn't date me with messages all day long. Hey, you looked at my profile. What are you looking at? How can I help you? And I'd never get anything done. And so I have the ability through LinkedIn Recruiters. I'm going to show you right now. We can conduct a quick search, but that I can look at 100 profiles in an hour. Okay. And that's why I don't want you as a candidate to be able to see me. Okay. So that is the big thing. Now, within LinkedIn Recruiter, let me share with you, you can see my screen here. It's got massive numbers of fields that I can search for. I want to start this call, this portion of the call, and really concentrate on focusing on one thing, and that is keywords. Okay. And I can't overemphasize that because I played golf last week with a gentleman that his name will stay disclosed and the name of his company disclosed as well. But he built one company in the social media space, influencer marketing space, and he recently sold that. And he's just over the last 2 years developed a product that he's going to be launching soon that's going to be for recruiters to help identify and find candidates. And he attests that his algorithms and the technology that he's built, he's going to be able to shorten the time for candidates, for recruiters like myself, up to 50% of their time reduced by being able to find more and better qualified candidates quicker, faster, using multiple platforms. Okay. So we'll see if that's a fact. I don't know if that's going to be the case or not, but the bottom line is that his technology is all built on keywords. All I have to do with his product is take the job description or a portion of the job description, which is nothing more than job keywords, y'all. That's all it is keywords. And I load that into his software and I hit go. And supposedly within minutes, I will have a whole slate of candidates. Regardless, I'm not here to talk about his technology. I'm not here to sell you on any of that. I'm here to tell you that keywords are critical. And so if you haven't developed a list of keywords, of words that the recruiters can find you, words that describe the things that you've done, then that's one of the biggest takeaways that you've got to take away from this meeting, y'all. You have to develop that list. Where do you get that list? Well, first you get it from just making a list of the things that you've done and things that people would maybe not necessarily find you about. They might, you might have as keywords that you are, that you know how to read a P&L and that you are customer friendly and that you are a digital transformation expert. Okay, those are all great keywords, and they're certainly important depending on what you do. But I want another 100 of those keywords, and I want them scattered throughout your LinkedIn profile. You're going to see as I start to show you more of this product, where this is where the rubber meets the road, and you're going to see where when I start to share with you some profiles of how badly people miss the opportunity. Okay. By not presenting themselves as well as they could. And that's all I'm going to say. And then there's going to be people that you're going to say, how did they get so high in the ranks and what you're talking about? Well, it's because they're using keywords and they're doing some of these things that I encourage you to do. So job briefs, if you are a great place to get keywords, okay? If you're looking for a job and in a specific industry and you have the ability to view and look at 5 or 10 job descriptions a week, or maybe 15, I would print every one of those and I would go through there and highlight what are the key words of what this company is looking for. I'd put those in one color, and then on another color, this is what the company's looking for, and you've done it. So now circle it. If it's highlighted, now circle it, and then go back into LinkedIn and make sure that those keywords are implemented or inserted into your LinkedIn profile. Okay. Cannot overemphasize this. This is going to be critical for you to do the same in your resume, okay? Those same keywords, if companies are looking for that in your LinkedIn profile, we want to make sure that we update our resume to make sure that it reflects some of those same keywords as well, so that there's no disconnect between a company. Now, I tell a story that, and Jeff's tired of hearing this, but when I graduated from college, my father owned a printing company, and he was so excited as the last child that he could typeset my resume. Okay, people that are in the printing industry and exposure know what that means. That is literally one page, college educated kid. So I don't have a 2-page resume, 1 page, and every letter is typeset. Well, once he prints that, I can't change it. I mean, it's paper and it's it. Okay, so you have to make sure you did a real good job of inserting and or making sure that everything you wanted was in there. Well, now we can have 15 resumes. Okay, we can have a different resume for every job. Okay, and that's okay, because what you're doing is you're customizing your background and the keywords and the information into the application for those companies that we want to go to work for. And we're using the content that they've provided us to make sure that our content matches up to theirs. Now, I can't tell you to lie, and I don't want you to lie, but you may be looking at an opportunity, and one of the things that they're looking for is something that you did 12 years ago, and it's not on your resume now. Okay, well, now's the time to go back and make that change in your resume and bring that to the highlight to make sure that that company sees that you've had that experience. Okay, so we have the ability to customize. We have the ability to build these great databases of all these keywords that we've used, and I just can't overemphasize the importance of using those and inserting those. Jeff, any questions right now?
Not yet.
Okay, so I clicked on this first one that's called Spotlights. And as a recruiter, you've seen some of these in your own day-to-day interaction, but LinkedIn gives you the ability to select these buttons that says that you're open to work, okay? And so you have the ability to tell recruiters that you're open to work, and then you have the ability to tell everybody in your network that you're open to work. And everybody asks me, what do you prefer? If you've got a job and you're just looking for a new job, then my recommendation is you don't tell everybody in your network you're looking for a job, but you may tell recruiters that you're open to work. And you can do that in a confidential way that just recruiters that use LinkedIn Recruiter will be able to see that you are open to work. But this one where it says are more likely to respond, highly recommend to everybody on this call, if you're not doing this today, stop it and start it. And that is reply to every message that recruiters or anybody sends you. LinkedIn keeps track of you as a recruiter. And if you don't reply to messages, then they put you in a box that tells recruiters that you are more or less likely to reply to messages. What does that mean to a recruiter? Well, for me, it means nothing, because I told you I can look at 100 profiles in an hour. I see that you're less likely to reply to messages. So I send you a message, but I know going in, as I put you into my database, that you're in the highly unlikely category that you'll ever reply to me. I got a message the other day from somebody that says, thanks, but I'm not really interested in that role. And I said, well, that's fine, because they closed the job 2 years ago. Okay, so here was a candidate that said he wasn't interested in the job. I had sent him a message about the job 2 years ago. He is just getting back to me. Okay, so if I assume that every candidate that I send messages to have got the same urgency that you and I've got about replying to messages, it's wrong. It doesn't happen. Okay. Engage with my talent brand. That means that they've selected my brand. They're listening, they're watching. That's the number of people. Have company connections. This is 13,000 people. Somehow they've got a connection with something that I've done. And then 12,000 people have applied for past applicants for jobs. Okay. So I have the ability to, and just for fun, we're just going to go into this. I'm going to look at people that are open to work. Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to look for, it's a role that I'm trying to fill in. Well, let's not do that. Let's go to Salt Lake City and look for a director of sales. How's that?
Good.
So I'm going to put in a director. I could put in sales director. I can put in director of sales. inside sales. I can put in director of corporate sales. You can see I can choose a lot of different director titles, okay? Account director. And I want it to be a part of their current and or their past, because I'm trying to build a big funnel here. So again, as a candidate, what you're learning and hearing from me is the opposite. Instead of, you're not hearing, and I can share, and I will share more about how you market yourself, but I'm showing you visibility and how I look for candidates. This experience will make you better at marketing yourself, okay? And so I can look for a lot of titles. This particular case, I'm conducting a search. The company's hired me, I've been retained, and we're looking to fill this job, okay? So I want to start as a recruiter with a pretty big funnel. I don't want to start with 20 candidates. If I could have 500 candidates or 800 candidates to start with, I would love to have a big number or a bigger number, okay? Now I get to go to the location, and we decided we're going to look in Salt Lake City, Utah, okay? We're going to look at the metropolitan area, but it gives me the ability, if I want to, I can put in a zip code. So I can hone in on where you as a candidate have loaded your resume and what zip code you've provided. Open to remote work. No, I want this person to come to the office, okay? In this particular case, I'm not going to go into skills and assessments. I'm not going to go into companies, the kinds of companies yet, or the schools that they went to work for, or their year of graduation, because I'm keeping all of my blinders off. I'm going to go into industries, and I'm going to put in consumer products, just for it's a category I'm really familiar with, consumer goods. Go food and beverage, go health, wellness, fitness, now food production. Now we'll leave it at that. I can put any keyword here. So if I am looking for somebody that has this kind of experience, but they've also got route settlement, that's a pretty specific keyword. I could put that keyword in there. But again, I'm trying to look at a big funnel right now. I could look at the relationships, okay? Out of the search I've done so far, you'll see the number here at the top. What I've selected so far, I've only got 61 candidates. So I don't have a lot of candidates. I don't have the thousands that I would like to have. But let's just go ahead and go to the search. So I'm going to move you guys down here. I'm going to search it. And 61 is probably a good number for an example and experience of looking at, I don't have a confidentiality clause in here, but if you know any of these people, I just keep their information confidential. This is a live demo, so you're going to see information that not going to be eye-opening. But so we got 62 candidates, okay? I get to see real quickly. I get to see where he lives right here in American Fork, Utah. He's got food and beverage experience. He's been head of sales for 8 years, okay? And he is currently the senior director of sales at Built Brands. I don't know anything about Built Brands. He's selected that he's open to work, and we have 5 mutual connections. So he looks interesting. So I click on Jared, and now I get a whole lot more information about it, okay? If I had put keywords in that search, they would have populated and highlighted in my search here, okay? So let's just say that we want to go in and put in, I'm not going to do it just for sake of a demonstration, but you can see the companies that he's worked for. Traeger Grills, he was with Vitamix Corporation. So he's kind of an equipment kind of guy is what he looks like to me from the beginning, because he was with this Traeger brand grills. I know what they do. They make grills, high-end grills. Vitamix, we all know they make the high-end Vitamix mixer. So he was director of sales. And I don't know what Revolution Cooking is, so I can select that. It'll tell me immediately about what the company is and who they are, and it'll tell me about the people. So introducing a world's first high-end smart toaster, faster, smarter, tastier. So you can understand where a guy like this has experience with those other brands, that he would be attractive to that organization. And Built Brands is a new brand. I don't think I'm going to get any information on it because it wasn't highlighted, but it may show me other people that are there. Okay, so now he's in the protein bar business. Okay, he's left the equipment and he's gone directly to work for a food manufacturer. Not uncommon. He's got a lot of great relationships. He's got the experience that we're looking for. He's got the education. He graduated Utah Valley. So now I have the ability to communicate with Jared. So I then would check this box here, where I have the ability, I've got these templates that I build, okay? And I could select a template or I could just send Jared a note, okay? But if I've got a template built, it literally takes me, boom, go in there, change a name, hit send, include the job description, and I've just sent Jared a message, and I can send, I can send 50 of those in an hour and a half, okay? Because I just got it going, boom, boom, boom. But this becomes my applicant tracking system because everybody that I send messages to, I then put in a project as well, okay? So I have the ability to build projects, save people, and then now I'm waiting for Jared to call me, okay? Or to be in touch with me. The ball's in his court. I've done everything I can. I don't have his contact information. Here is his summary, and he's given me no personal information. It doesn't take me a second to look for phone numbers and email addresses, okay? I look at that big message, I go, it ain't there. I come to the bottom, I go, gosh, I'd really like to talk to Jared. Maybe you put it down here somewhere. Ain't there. So I come back up. My only option to communicate with Jared is to send him an email. But as I put him into my database, I also make recognition that he's with Built Brands. And I'll take the time to Google Built Brands and just call there to see if I can leave Jared a phone number, okay? Hey, Jared, found you on LinkedIn. I know you can't talk during work. Found you on LinkedIn, but I want to chat with you about a great new opportunity, okay? So let's continue down the line here. Here's another candidate, Marshall Olson. I'm looking for a really cool summary section because what I want to tell you all is that you're really missing the opportunity. This is a golden opportunity to present yourself in a fashion that you've never done it before. And that is that you've got a good picture. You've got all your key words. You've used the maximum amount of words that you can to talk about what you've done. It's full of key words, okay? And then what you've done in the summary is you give me your contact information, okay? Put your email address and your phone number in there. That then becomes a differentiator because now, unlike Jared, I can pick up the phone and literally call Marshall if his contact information were in there. And I can say, hey, Marshall, Kurt here, found you on LinkedIn. Love to chat with you about a new opportunity. Instead of going through all this email garbage, I get to communicate with this guy immediately. I get to build a rapport, and I get to find out within 5 minutes whether or not he's a candidate that I want to continue to have a conversation, because he does fit the bill of experience that I'm looking for. He's in the salary range. He's done some of the things that we're looking to do. Now we can have a really solid hour conversation so I can get to know what really makes this guy tick. Okay. So all of the stuff that we've talked about so far is absolutely critical, key words. But the thing that so many candidates miss on is they miss on providing recruiters their contact information in that summary section. Look at this guy's summary. It's 10 words, 15 words, okay? Now, he's maybe got some great sales experience. He says that he is open to work right here, okay? But I don't believe—
Well, you need to click on see more of summary. Apparently it's truncated your summary.
That's it though.
Still not a whole lot.
Yeah, no, yeah. So really important. The other thing, again, I'm just trying to find a really good example of one. I could go to mine, but that's not what I want to do. Here's another one. So again, a little bit more information, but not a ton of stuff that you know, especially here, Wilson Sporting Goods, great company, gives the experience and the jobs that he's done, but why wouldn't he have given me 3 or 4 bullets under each one of those of some of the accomplishments that he's had? Okay. So, real interesting. And I'm not trying to select religions or anything else, but you go to Park Cities and we all know that there's a high concentration of Mormon people up here. He's actually went to the Presbyterian College. That could be a bonus or a negative. If you were recruiting for a company up there that wanted somebody that was of Mormon descent, then this could be an immediate disclaimer, but that was where he went to college, so you can't get rid of that. As recruiters, we often look over here too. So we've got similar profiles of people that look a lot like this person. So I can go down and check on Gary, can see some of the things that he's done, but look at Gary doesn't hardly even have any. There's a pretty good summary, but no personal information again. I can find connections. Okay, so this is very helpful when I'm doing a search. I use these all the time. I do know Dave Johnson, so I'd have no problem sending Dave a note and saying, "Hey, Dave, I don't know exactly where you and this other guy have crossed paths, but what can you tell me about him? And he's somebody that we should get to know better." So we use LinkedIn in all kinds of different ways to try to build relationships, find candidates. But the searching that we're doing is confined to, if you go back to.
Well, hold on, before you go back,
Yeah,
I'll say, can you go back to Dave for just a second?
sure. Yeah.
Here we go. I just wanted to point out to everybody, look what shows up underneath Dave. There's his email address and his phone number right there in that summary part that Kirk can just pick up the phone and call him. He doesn't have to send that in mail.
Correct.
Because he listed it in his contact information.
Put your information in your summary section right here. So again, if you're actively looking, if you are unemployed, you're actively looking for a new opportunity, you're trying to reach new companies, new recruiters, just put that contact information right in your summary. It's you can take it out. I tell people that this is not Match.com. You can take this out after you get a job, but this does not give people your home address and where to come find where your kids go to school. You don't know the number, you don't recognize the phone number, it can go to voicemail. If you don't like the email, you can delete it. But keep the blinders off and allow people to see and have your contact information so that they can more quickly, readily reach you immediately. I told a story the other day, Jeff, to somebody about when I was in the beverage business. I was in the beverage business for 18 years with Dr. Pepper 7-Up and then Pepsi. And early in my career, I was involved in route settlement. Well, if you weren't in the beverage business, you wouldn't even know what route settlement was. And maybe not all, you might have seen it in the snack food business as well. But the whole process is that you load this truck in the morning with a bunch of product and you know what's on it, and then it comes back at the end of the day and you re-inventory it, and the route salesman that's delivering that product gets charged for the product that was sold. Hopefully he's got cash and receipts or credit card statements for the amount owed, but sometimes it doesn't work out that way. But I use that as a term that is that would be something that probably is old in my career. But if I put that in my LinkedIn profile right now, I'd probably get a bunch of hits over that over time, because companies are still looking for people that know route settlement and understand it. Even though I did it in the old traditional fashion of, literally counting with an abacus, today a computer does it. But the fact of the matter is route settlement is still there and is still prevalent in a lot of industries, but maybe not a key word that a lot of people would use. There are a lot of keywords like that in your industries, and I want you to research and find those keywords and make sure that they're just smothered throughout your LinkedIn profiles. The other thing I think that we could talk about, Jeff, let me go back to advanced search is, I know that a lot of times people ask questions about ages. Okay, how old am I? How do companies do that? Okay, we do have the tool and the ability to look at when you graduated and use that as a tool to figure out, when or how many years of experience a candidate has got. Okay, but I would tell you that most recruiters, again, we're trying to build that big funnel, and age doesn't always matter. But this is the tool that if you were getting, you weren't being found as often as you thought you would like to, or you think that you're being discriminated against because you're older, you've got too much experience. This is the technology that's pulling that data, and it's pulling it out of your LinkedIn profile as far as when you graduated from college. I don't suggest to people that they take that data out. My recommendation is, Jeff, is that there's, if a company wants somebody young, they're only, they're going to find that young person. Okay. And there's no way to hide your age or years of experience. I once had a friend that, tried to disguise his age by, putting stuff in his hair and making it all dark. So he looked a little bit younger, but he actually looked kind of silly. And I said to him, I was like, Ray, what are you trying to do to yourself, man? Are you back on the market? Are you looking for a new wife or what? But the bottom line is that companies are going to find out how old you are regardless. And so my encouragement is that you try to do as little as you possible to hide that data. Because in a lot of cases, age doesn't matter. I'm looking for a fractional controller. If anybody knows this person in Houston, so I need a controller, but they only want a fractional, they don't want a full-time employee, they want a part-time employee, but it's a full-time job in Houston. And so in this particular case, I've been very, very honest with the family and the company and said, our best candidates are going to be people that are, they've retired. They're 63 or 4 or 5 years old. They've retired, but they want to continue to work. They want to make an impact in a company's organization. They want to work that consultative business, but they want to be able to go on vacation with their family and their wife when they want to, and they want to take 4 weeks maybe here and there or whatever they want to do. They don't want to be committed to a day-to-day every day. And so that audience is there. And so if you're one of those people, don't think that there's not other opportunities out there, and that you by relinquishing when you went to college or something, that you're going to be eliminated from an opportunity because you're too old, you're too young, you're too thin, you're too gray, you're too whatever. Just forget it and keep those blinders off. It's not going to help your search. It's only going to intimidate it.
Will you talk a little bit about salary? I mean, when you're given a range, I assume, for what for the position you're looking for. Can you talk about how that conversation is with somebody when you find them on LinkedIn?
Yep. So Jeff, this is a conversation that most candidates hate, and everybody that's on this call has gotten this call, and maybe this will make it a little bit easier on everybody here today, because I want you just to be transparent. Okay. So Jeff, this is the way this call goes. I'm looking for, so I've completed an HR search for it wasn't the VP, well, it turned out to be the VP of HR, but it was a smaller family-owned organization again, and they wanted somebody, the ultimate goal was to find somebody that was somewhere between $100,000 and $120,000, okay? So this is what that call sounds like. Hey, Sally, I just found your contact information on LinkedIn. I really appreciate your time today. Do you have 6 minutes? Yeah, I've got 6 minutes. Okay, well, I'm looking for a new VP of HR over in Tampa, and you live in that market. Could you tell me a little bit about what's going on in your career these days? What are you working? Are you actively looking? Just give me a little bit of visibility. I shut up. They talk for a couple of minutes. I get that information. And then the next question is, well, just like any other role, I've got a budget for this. Could you give me an idea that if you were to leave your organization today, or if the person's unemployed, then I might say, when you last left the organization you were at, could you give me an idea what kind of salary is your target? What are we trying to get to for your next opportunity? And I shut up. And you can't, there's not a right answer, guys, and there's not a wrong answer, because I've got a budget. Okay. But I'm not going to tell you what my budget is, because what I want Sally to do is come back and say, yeah, and this happens a lot. When I left company XYZ, I was making $175,000. Okay. Sally, gosh, that is awesome. You know, in Florida, that's a big salary. But I got to be honest with you, I don't want to waste your time, because this family does not have the budget for that kind of salary. If you know of anybody, if you've worked with anybody that would be a fit for this role and is looking for a new opportunity, but is in this range that's closer to 100,000, then I'd like to get to know them. And then we're done with the conversation. I asked that question right up front, and here's why, guys. I hope that candidates at the end of the day see that that work is being very respectful, because now if that candidate comes back and I told you my range was 100 to 120, and somebody comes back and they say, well, my target's $130,000, I won't throw the baby away with the bathwater. We're close, okay? If this candidate exceeds the expectations of the organization and they've got the skills that the organization is looking for, then I will present that candidate, and I'll present them up front that says this candidate's a little higher than what our goal was. But I think the value is there. And I think that when you start to talk to Jack, you're going to learn that he's had the experience that you're looking for. He's got the demonstrated results. He's worked in the industries that we want the candidate to work for. Now, I'm a retained search executive, guys. My job is to find that needle in the haystack, is to find that purple squirrel. I did it with a local company in Dallas. They were looking for a new COO. And I introduced, I don't know if I told this story on the last call, Jeff, but I did something that most recruiters would not do. I introduced them to a candidate that lived in Luxembourg, and he worked for a company called Amazon. And this was a startup company. And I had to move a family of 5 twins that were going to be freshmen in high school, and then another younger daughter, and a family that had not lived in the United States in 16 years. And the guy works for Amazon, and Amazon, for everybody's information, they don't pay all their executives extraordinary base salaries, but this guy was making a decent chunk of change. But his bonus, they give it to him in stock every year. Okay. And so imagine you're with Amazon for 19 years and you're making a good chunk of change and you're getting stock every year, and it's equal to your salary, sometimes more. You're making a lot of money. Okay. So I had to figure out a way to creatively get this guy back to the United States. Well, the company met the candidate and fell in love with him. And it was, it was a love fest after that. But my point is that I am always looking for that purple squirrel. So I never throw candidates out for salary unless it's, $50,000, $60,000 above what our target is. And I know the company's posture on offering more or less. And so I just don't want to waste candidates. There's nothing worse than a candidate dating me for 2 hours on the phone, meaning that we have conversation, we get to know each other, we know a lot about what you've done and so forth. And at the end of the question, I'm going to present you to the company that I'm working with. Give me an idea what your salary is. Well, when I left such and such, I was at 225. Oh my gosh, 225. Oh, I would have never guessed you're that high. This company only has $100,000 to spend. I just wasted 2 hours of your time. Okay. I wasted 2 hours of my own time. Okay. So that's why we ask that question up front. It's a hard question, but just answer it and give them the data up front. And don't try to gobble it up with a bunch of data and information. Just give them the number and get on with it.
So your top, from what I can sort of tell, your top 2 or 3 tips on LinkedIn is keywords, contact information. What else would you want to put on there?
Make sure that you're replying to every message, that you're open to new opportunities. And then I just encourage everybody on this call, to pay it forward. You're going to get calls from recruiters that they've got a job that's not a fit for what you want to do, or it's not the salary, or it's not in the location, or it's not, any number of things. But I encourage you to, take a minute, think about your network, see who's in there that you might be able to make it, pay it forward by making a great introduction.
All right. Well, for those who weren't with us at the very beginning, Kurt is stuck, I think, either in the Denver airport or on the way flying back currently right now from Denver. So he wasn't with us, but let me go through. We had a couple questions here that people wanted to ask. Let me see here. The first one was, how about PMP, pending, for a way to show that you meet a job requirement in the project management profession without the certification? I would not list PMP unless you had gotten your PMP certification. Now, if you're in the process of getting it underneath your education area, you can go and list project management, PMP expected completion date, and put a date when it's expected to get. So you're not misrepresenting the fact that you don't have it, but yet by putting project management or PMP down in your education, it would show up if anybody did a search for that particular requirement. So don't represent, go back to the story of the football coach who got hired at the University of Notre Dame, and 2 weeks later he had to quit because he fudged his application saying he had a degree in something he didn't have. So, tell the truth. I think it's very, very important. Let's see here, another question regarding how the search runs, as it would also be for the ATS. Does having a key term or terms have to be the word in particular order to directly beside it? For example, global program director versus director of global programming. No, but I would remember that when the term, it won't make any difference because it will highlight whatever terms are in there, but it depends. If he puts it in quotes, which is what you call doing a Boolean search, if he puts it in quotes, then it has to be that exact way. If he just lists global programs, it could be anything. But remember, make sure that whatever you put on your resume or whatever you put on your LinkedIn profile are verbs, because you're not in global management. Okay, you want to be, you're a manager of global affairs, you're a manager of global program director. Keep it, whatever the job title would be is how you want to list it on your profile so that the keywords would match. Quite frankly, I would recommend that you want to make sure that you use the terms that LinkedIn has already built in. So as you're typing in a position, because quite frankly, Kurt didn't show it today, but what he will do is he'll just start typing program manager, and then boom, up will come 3 or 4 options. He'll just pick one of those options. He won't, try to pick a creative name that's not on there, which also leads to the fact that if you have an unusual title, you are the chief people person. Well, most people don't hire a chief people person. They have a director of talent acquisition. They have a director of HR. After that official title, I'll put in parentheses what the general job title or titles could be, so that if somebody was searching for that, they would then find your particular title.
Thank you.
All right, let's see here. Just seeing any other questions in the box here. I think we talked about that one. Matthew says, I always want to talk about the band range for positions because my willingness to accept it would depend on where I fit into the range relative to my individual skills and experience. I don't know if Kurt's going to play the game. I think that he has a range and he wants to find out what your range is. And if your range doesn't meet his range, he's going to move on because he doesn't waste your time or my time, or his time or your time, because he doesn't know. He's busy. Think about this. He says he can go through 100 profiles in less than an hour on LinkedIn, because if the keywords don't match, if those things don't pop up, it makes a huge, huge difference. So, the biggie thing here is just make sure you've got keywords in there that you look at when you see a job description. What are the keywords? Do I have those keywords 3 to 5 times in your profile? So you want to have keywords in your summary statement. You want to have keywords in 2 or 3 of the jobs. So the same thing pops up, because any keyword he puts into a search box, it will highlight on your profile. I know that he's shown us in the past where he would put in a search term and it only came up on a candidate once. And it was just like, well, he put it here, but it's no place else. So did he actually do this in any of his jobs? So just be aware of that. You want to make sure you have those keywords spread out throughout the profile. Does anybody else have any questions they'd like to ask? Just remember, keywords, very, very important. Contact information, very, very, very important. Kurt would prefer, and I think most recruiters would prefer, as soon as they find somebody they like, to pick up the phone and call you. If you don't want to put your phone number on there, you can get a Google Voice number. So that way you're not giving out your personal phone number. If you happen to look at my profile, you see that I actually have, beside my contact information being in the contact field and in the about section, it is also in my banner across the top of my LinkedIn profile. So I want to make it real easy for anybody to be able to reach out and contact me. So, and then be sure, reply to anything you want to show activity. You want to like, share, post something, like and share something once or twice a day, post something, post an article about what it is you do or what you like or something you saw about somebody else. Do that once a week just to be able to show some activity. Any other questions? All right, well, let me just share a few more things and we will get out of here. Next week, our title of the talk will be How to Use LinkedIn for Job Hunting, Strategies to Get Results. Locke Alderson is a career consultant. He worked for Lee Heck Harrison. He's worked for, he's got 40 years experience doing this stuff. So if you'd like to, he has a really good presentation. You can join us next week for that. All right, I need everybody to please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Jeff Morris, promise to always send a personal note whenever I send a LinkedIn request to connect with anyone. This includes when I use my cell phone or my computer. Please, please, please just know that on LinkedIn, you can find that white connect button, but you never want to use the white connect button. You want to use the blue connect button. So if you find a white connect button, click on the person's picture, which will then open up their profile. And from there, you should be able to find a connect button. That way you can connect with somebody. Always send that personal note. I won't connect with I don't accept any connections with anybody if they don't send me a personal note. So just please just consider one of those. Career DFW and Career USA, we're putting on training 4 days a week. Hopefully you'll join us. Tomorrow, the practice interview team for interviewing Wednesdays at 1 o'clock. You can watch an actual practice interview. We're doing this in anticipation of getting back in person. So if you'd like to watch the practice interview team do their thing, you'll be able to watch it tomorrow. It only will be on Zoom. It only will be live. So it will not be on Facebook and it will not be recorded to watch after the event. So you have to watch it live tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Tomorrow's session, if I think it'll be at least an hour and a half, an hour and 40 minutes, I think, from what I understand. This Thursday, being the 4th Thursday of the month, we're going to talk about networking. Walt Glass is our presenter. He's going to talk about networking, informational interviewing. Very, very important. Once you find somebody on LinkedIn, what do you do with them? You call them up and you do an informational interview. You find out what it is about the company, details about the company you'd like to know. So join us this Thursday at 1 o'clock. This Friday at the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group meeting, we meet at 9:30 Central Time. Elizabeth Lyons will be with us. She's a recruiter. She's going to talk about job seeking post-pandemic 2022. She has talked with some C-level people in her company and what they predict. And this is just what she's sort of forecasting of what we're going to see in 2022. So please join us for that. If you'd like to, you're welcome to join the Career DFW and Career USA LinkedIn groups. You do not need to live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area to be part of the Career DFW group. We've got 13,400 members. We're close to 13,500 members here. Hopefully we should reach it maybe by the end of this week. So you're welcome to join that, because It will allow you to expand your connections. This session has been recorded. It will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel. On the Career USA YouTube channel, just click on playlist where you see that green arrow, and then down below at the very bottom, instead of clicking on a video, click where it says view full playlist, and up will come a list of all the different titles and topics and dates that you can go back and watch any one of these videos. We've got over 290 of these career videos that we've recorded over the last year and a half. You're welcome to go back and watch any of them for whatever information you may need. If you're not receiving emails about our workshops and you'd like to join the Career USA mailing list, just send an email to careerusa_subscribe@groups.io. You'll never be spam, but what you will get is the title of the day, the topic of the day, and most importantly, the Zoom and Facebook links, so you can go and watch it by just clicking on the link and you'll be able to watch the presentation. Please know Career DFW, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. All of our speakers, myself included, I'm a volunteer. I've never gotten paid to do any of this over the last 13 years. We've got no full or part-time employees. We survive on donations. Please consider making one when you get your next job. So thank you very much for joining us today. Have a great afternoon, and hopefully we'll see you later in the week.